Hey guys, Happy New Year! So today we have some amazing analysis about Andrew Yan's chance to win presidency. Um, this is math, right? Make America think harder. This is not my original analysis, but I found it really interesting and worth sharing. So this is using the data from betting markets. Okay, so the reason of using betting market data, there are several important reasons. So this is from electionbettingodds.com. So as we know that the polling data are fraud, misleading, right? We had analysis about the polling method before. So here's why we should trust these odds better. Okay, so studies found that political prediction markets tend to be better at predicting elections than polls because bettors take into account important factors besides polls. And unlike pundits, bettors put their money where their mouths are because they're betting with their real money. They have to be really careful and responsible. And also, people involved in the event might trade before news breaks publicly. And the wisdom of crowds. Okay, so the more people participate, the more accurate the result will be. Now, I'm not saying we should 100% trust the betting odds, but I'm saying they offer very valuable information besides the traditional polling, and in often cases they are more trustworthy. Okay, and let's take a look at what the results show here. Okay, so they actually have bets on not just the presidential election, but also things like Trump out, for example. Let's take a look. Okay, so the betting odds is telling us that Trump has full term. The possibility is 90%, and the possibility of Trump will be out early is less than 10%, which is not inconsistent with our perception, right? With our common knowledge, with the fact that so far none of the Republican uh, people cross the party line, and we cannot expect, a couple dozens senators from the Republican Party would vote against Trump. Okay, would vote in favor of impeachment. So that's just quite unlikely. Okay, even getting 20 would be difficult, if not impossible. It's almost impossible. So that's why Andrew Yang said it's like watching a ball game where you already know the scores. Um, so let's go back to the election. So here they listed the chances of winning for the Democratic Party and the Republican. Republican, it's not surprising. Trump has 88.8% chance of winning the primary, and then his chance of winning the presidency 2020 is about 50%, whereas Joe Biden right now is leading in the poll. So this is actually kind of consistent with the polling results, right? Joe Biden leading, trailed by Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Bloomberg, Clinton. Okay, that's interesting, and Andrew Yang. So they had Clinton here. So I think if if we get rid of Clinton, you will see Yang at about the same level, 5% with Bloomberg. But they are actually, I actually appreciate that they put Clinton here because, I mean, she has not officially said she would not run. Well, I mean, there's a slight chance that she might run, and that just shows that the betting data, the betting odds are actually pretty comprehensive, right? But of course, we know probably she won't. Amy Klobuchar at 2%. Oh, there's Obama, Michelle Obama here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to ignore anything below 1%. Okay, so it's, Amy Klobuchar above and above. Okay, and then we're going to use this statistical analysis. So here's the math. Okay, um, this is using the Bayes theorem applied to betting markets. So let's say P of A B um, is essentially this is essentially the probability of the event A happening in the case of B happening. Okay, so A event is candidate I wins the Democratic nomination, and so that's B event. And A event is that candidate wins presidency, and so by definition we already know that P of BA is 1 because that means the probability of the candidate winning the presidency. Okay, so in the event that that candidate I wins presidency, that he or she also wins the nomination. Of course, that's 100%, right? If that guy or lady wins the the presidency, and of course he or she would have won the nomination from the party. So that probability is 1. So that's why we put 1 in this equation, and that is basically telling us that this probability which we care about, the probability of the ICE candidate winning presidency in the event that he or she wins the party's nomination, is equal to the probability of the candidate winning presidency over the probability of the candidate winning nomination. Okay, the party's nomination. And so that is the math we're gonna do. Okay, and let's take a look at the math here. Okay, this is the using the data from electionbettingodds.com. So we see that PA and PB are listed here for all the candidates, including Donald Trump. Okay, so Donald Trump has 49.8% of chance of winning the presidency, which is the highest right now. Not surprising. And his chances of winning the party nomination is 88.8%, according to the latest data. And that gives us about 56% chance, right? That's P of AB. And if we do the math now, actually Andrew Yang came up with the highest chance, right? Is 73%. Despite PA and PB being low, he actually has the best chance of winning. And the second best would be Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg also has a better chance than Trump. It's 64%. And all other candidates are below Trump. Actually, Amy Klobuchar has a slightly better chance than Trump, right? 57.9%. And we see that Joe Biden will lose to Trump, Bernie will lose to Trump, Warren will lose to Trump, Pete Buttigieg is quite low. Yeah, and even Clinton is quite low, is much lower than Trump. So this is the math. The statistics tells us that Andrew Yang has the best chance of winning the presidency. Okay, now let's take a look at a New Opinions article. Actually, before that, let's see. This article says that Andrew Yang overtakes Pete Buttigieg in becoming the 4th most favored primary candidate. So this is the net favorability we were talking about, is the share of potential Democratic primary voters who viewed him positively minus those with unfavorable views. Now, Andrew Yang just jumped 7 points after the Los Angeles debate, according to the Morning's Consult. As a result of the post-debate boost, he now has a net favorability score of 34%, putting him in 4th place and a point ahead of Pete Buttigieg on 33%. And prior to the debate, Andrew Yang had only less than 30%. So, um, yeah, Pete Buttigieg was 30% ahead of Yang. Um, so Andrew Yang was 27, I think, and now it's 34, 7 points gain. And now he's in fourth place, a solid fourth place. So that's very, very encouraging. And Tulsi Gabbard right now has the least favorability, probably after she voted present when the articles of impeachment were put before the House on December 18th. So the poll also found that Biden's net ranking dropped from 57% to 54%, while Warren's dipped by just 1 point to a score of 44 points. Anyway, so we see that most other people are losing. And Andrew Yang's gaining 7 points, and Amy Klobuchar and Tom Steyer, they enjoy 5% boosts. That's not surprising because they did very well in the last debate in Los Angeles. So that we see the power of debates, right? So yeah, Andrew Yang has actually a very good chance of winning. Here is another article saying Andrew Yang can actually win the whole thing. So this is an article written by Ben Smith from BuzzFeed news editor. Andrew Yang could win the thing. I tweeted a while ago that this is the simulation where we win, and that's what it feels like now. Andrew Yang told me he's the math guy. He has done the simulation, right? Told me between campaign stops in New Hampshire Thursday night, he was speaking as he does in media interviews with careful space between words, thinking about how they would look when they're written down. Yang's stunning fundraising figures Thursday, 16.5 million in the last 3 months of 2019 are the latest of the boxes he's checked, indicating that he's a serious candidate for president of the United States. That's not the only box. He regularly occupies the second tier of key polls behind the fourth central candidates, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Pete Buttigieg. And he just bypassed Pete Buttigieg in net favorability, right? He's now the fourth place on that, and ahead of many other any number of well-credentialed politicians. All these other people, those established people have dropped out, right? While his campaign keeps growing, right? Julian Castro just dropped out. Kamala Harris dropped out. And Marianne Williamson just dismissed her campaign staff, right? All these people are dropping out. Marianne hasn't officially dropped out, but, she's probably close. I get asked all the time whether I expect to be here, he said. And the truth is that I did. He did the math. He said, do you remember when Alex interviewed him? What is the chance of winning? 100%. Andrew Yang has done the math. He's the numbers guy. He's the math guy. And Yang is also worth treating as more than a curiosity because he has grip on the thing that actually wins presidential campaigns, a clear message about the future. He's talking about 21st century challenges rather than reprising old battles. David Axelrod, who shaped Obama's 2008 campaign, told me. The substance Yang's campaign is shockingly easy to talk about. He wants to give everyone $1,000 a month, and instead of preaching the inherent dignity of work, he looks to an automated future where there is dignity in working less. He marches to his own policy drum and declined to sign on to all the primary's progressive litmus tests, saying that while he agrees in spirit with Medicare for all, free college, and the Green New Deal, none would work in practice. He's more about substance than form. While other people are talking about, these impractical things. I mean, he's down to the earth. I mean, he wants to make things work for American people. He's a problem solver. He already sees the future. It's the politics that have been harder to figure, and there are reasons that experienced political reporters like me have tended to write him off, as in, come on, How does he actually win this thing? Well, first, the Democratic National Committee's rigid rules have so far been a gift to him. Yan Sanders had no trouble reaching the number of small donors required to clear the threshold for debates, which meant they can spend the money they've raised on advertising and persuasion. Many of the other candidates, in particular the ones who washed out, have been spending money to drum up donors, dropping $10 or $20 to raise $1. That's like Tom Steyer. And Bloomberg doesn't even bother doing it. The DNC's arbitrary polling rules, however, could keep him out of the key Iowa debate this month. No, I don't think this is happening. He is going to be there. And his campaign has brought on some old-line political hacks who speak the language of conventional politics. In terms insiders can understand that here is the path. Yan has now raised enough money to buy old-school television advertising in Iowa and New Hampshire. In his ad maker Mark Longaber's gambling metaphor, we've got to be dealt into the race in the early contest, Iowa and New Hampshire. That means a finish that sneaks him in amongst the four forerunners in Iowa, then a stronger showing in New Hampshire, with independents, even Republicans learning independents who like Yan better than other Democrats can vote in a semi-open primary, and then it's off to the races. One of the key things is getting hotter at the right time. That's exactly what Yang is doing. Right? Who worked Longaberg, who said, who worked with Sanders in 2016. So we see all the people who work with other campaigns now is working for Andrew Yang. Yang is positioned to get hot right at the right time to make a move on this thing. We're going to grow and peak at the right time, said Yang, who, like Trump, ignores the old rule that the candidate shouldn't obsess publicly about polling. That would mean, among other things, winning votes from people who aren't wearing hats that say math on them. And perhaps from the lady spotted on the Warren event Thursday wearing one backwards. Yang's aides say the base is broadening. It's a completely new universe that we're speaking to, said his campaign chief. It's a former combat commander and political neophyte named Nick Ryan, who pointed to some 400,000 individual donors. No matter how passionate a small base of support is, they are not going to get you $16 million. They are folks who end all on blue pad Twitter. The only thing missing, as Yang's aggrieved supporters frequently note, is MSNBC, who keeps leaving him. Keeps leaving him off its graphics, and really, the rest of us, the media at large, that's because he's not the kind of establishment candidate with political, business, and military credentials who fit easily into established media narratives, and he hasn't had a clear story to tell about how he wins the horse race. And he's not the kind of outsider. At this point, there will be probably changed. The great mentioners will add him to MSNBC charts, unleash the attacks from the left. It's change that could easily end his race. In this process, the most joyful ride is the one up the ladder, said Alex Rowe. Once you arrive in the tier of viable contenders, the test gets much harder. We just don't know yet how well he would handle the unique hazing. He's made a huge leap to get to where he is. It is even larger one to get to where he wants to go. Yes, so, yeah. The media, Yan said, the media has not exactly been the fuel behind my ascent, he remarked dryly. That means, he said, that the people who support me have a sense of who I am. So what will become of Andrew Yang? Probably like most candidates who have a shot, but just a shot, he will fall short. No, I don't think so, but he's got a shot. One of his senior aides argued that Biden, Warren, Sanders are running like it's 1996. Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar, the aide said, are running like it's 2008. We're running like it's 2030. Only Donald Trump, it seems, is running like this year is 2020. I am, Andrew Yang said, and his perfect nemesis. Perfect. Yang is going to win. Alright, thank you for your attention. Bye for now.
Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang, yeah, yeah. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang, yeah, yeah. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang, yeah, yeah.